Hey, what's up? My name is Andrew and welcome to the Conversation AI tutorial compilation. We're going to be going over everything that you need to know about Conversation AI and the AI features within HighLevel. This is going to be going over everything from new feature releases relating to AI to tutorials on setting up your AI and how you can use Conversation AI with HighLevel to grow your business. So sit back, be sure to take some notes and follow along in your own sub account. And as always, thank you for watching.
Hey, what's up, high levelers? My name is Andrew. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through primary versus non-primary Conversation AI bots. Having one Conversation AI bot is great, but having multiple assigned to primary or not primary to use them throughout different functions throughout your sub account is really helpful to using AI within your business. So let's dive right in. As always, to manage your Conversation AI bots, navigate to Settings, Conversation AI, and here you'll be able to access all of your different bots. Now, whichever bot is set as your primary bot will have this little tag underneath its title, titled Primary. And in order to change the primary bot, you can simply go to the three dots on the right-hand side and click Set as Primary on the non-primary bot. Then you can confirm, and then the primary bot will be switched over to the new bot. The primary bot will manage all inbound communication through the different channels that it's assigned to. But there's lots of cases where we won't be using our primary bot or where other bots can step in. For example, if we have a primary bot assigned to only one channel and then we get a message on another channel that our non-primary bot is assigned to, then the non-primary bot will step in. Now, let's say our primary bot now has access to Facebook, Instagram, and SMS. When we get a message on SMS, the primary bot will be the one to respond, not the second one, even though it also is assigned to SMS. In order to use non-primary bots, we have to use them within workflows, and we can do this with workflow triggers and assigned channels. To do this, let's navigate to Automations, and then select the channel that this non-primary bot is assigned to. In this case, let's imagine we have two bots, one that's assigned to all channels and one that's assigned to only SMS. The one assigned to all channels is our primary bot, and the SMS bot is the one that's only assigned to SMS. Now, in this case, we want to use our non-primary bot. So we're going to add a filter for SMS by using the reply channel filter here, and then select SMS from the list. Now that we've got this trigger set up, we're going to add our action to update our Conversation AI bot status. From here, we can change the assigned conversation bot, our primary bot, which again is assigned to all channels, to our non-primary bot, which is only assigned to SMS. In this case, bot 1 is our number one primary bot, and our general support bot is the one that we're only going to use on SMS. By default, when a customer replies, they're going to be assigned to bot 1, but we're going to change our assigned conversation bot to the general support bot and keep it as active, and then click Save. Now with this workflow, whenever a customer replies on SMS, then the non-primary bot will take over, and we can use this type of workflow for all the different reply channels. The only three things you need to have in place are making sure that you have your workflow trigger with the reply channel set up, then you have your action with the Update Conversation AI bot and selecting the bot itself, and then you need to make sure that that bot is actually assigned to the channel. If you assign a bot manually using one of your workflows to a channel that it's not assigned within the Conversation AI settings, then it won't respond to that channel. Again, as you can see here in our Conversation AI settings, we've got that non-primary bot set to SMS. So with that workflow in place and published, we should be good to go. A common use case for this is having multiple AI bots for either different industries or different intents, like appointment booking, general FAQ, or to be used by your own internal team. This is a really helpful way for us to use multiple Conversation AI bots within HighLevel, but if you have any questions, please refer to the help doc. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Hey, what's up? My name is Andrew, and in this video, I'm going to be walking you through the advanced settings of our Conversation AI bots. We can find this on our first screen whenever we're creating a Conversation AI bot, and it's pretty straightforward, so let's dive right in. To get to our advanced settings, simply navigate to Conversation AI through Settings and then Conversation AI, and then click the three dots on the right-hand side for the bot that you'd like to access the settings. Then on our first screen within bot settings, we can scroll down after we've configured the bot details, the support communication channels, and then we can access our advanced settings. Our first field is business name, and as you'll notice, this is not required because set by default is the location name of the account. Now, if you don't know what your location name is, navigate to your business profile, and then you can see under friendly business name, this is your location name. Now, if you have an AI bot that you don't want to use the default location name, then you can add in your business name here, and then it will use this name whenever it's asked questions or whenever it's instructed to within the conversations. Underneath this, we have access to autopilot mode. This is where we can set a few different settings that are going to help our Conversation AI manage conversations with people when it's set to autopilot. If you don't know if your Conversation AI is set to autopilot, simply scroll up and select this bot status as autopilot. This is going to allow the bot to reply automatically based on its current trainings. So within our autopilot settings, we first have wait time before responding. Now, if you have a Conversation AI bot that you need to respond quickly, you can set this as low as 1 second, and then it will respond immediately whenever you ask anything based on its current trainings. But if you have a bot that's going to be dealing with, let's say, outbound customers or inbound communications with people that maybe don't know it's an AI, it would be smart to increase this amount to maybe even a few minutes, so that way your Conversation AI feels more human and isn't as much of a immediate response bot. Feel free to play with these settings and ask your users which feels best, whether they want a conversation AI bot that will respond faster or that will take a little bit more time so it feels a little bit more natural. Underneath this, we can manage our maximum messages that a bot can send in a conversation. We can set this as low as 1 and as high as 25. This setting is pretty straightforward. This is just going to designate exactly how many messages a bot can send back and forth with a customer before it'll time out. Keep in mind when it does time out, it'll simply deactivate and we can reactivate it from within the conversation manager. As a business owner that's used conversation AI, I can tell you that you'll get a lot of responses from individuals asking if it's an AI or not. So lowering this figure can help reduce the amount of responses that conversation AI will send back and forth to a customer. So that way you don't get people abusing your plan or sticking your conversation AI bot into a loop, which will give your customers a not so ideal experience. However, if you have a bot that's typically more used for FAQ, then setting this to the max at 25 should be good. The last setting we have is send bot to sleep whenever I send a message manually or through a workflow. Under here, we can designate for how many hours, minutes, or seconds that we need to set the bot to sleep for. And this will trigger whenever we send a message manually. So if we go to the conversation manager and send a message to a client while it's talking to the AI, then the AI will cut out if we have this turned on, or if a message gets sent through a workflow. For example, let's say we have a customer that's sending an SMS to our number and having a regular conversation. Then they send a keyword that you have a workflow set up in order to send some information to the customer if they send that specific keyword. We would want to have this turned on so that way the customer can receive their information and be navigated into that workflow rather than still having that conversation with the AI bot. This can also be really helpful if you have autopilot set up for SMSs, Facebook, Instagram messages on your own personal account and you have AI responding to them. Typically, you'll have lots of scenarios where you'll want to engage with the contact instead of having the AI talk to them, especially if you're actually available. Autopilot is great for when you're not able to have a manual conversation with a contact, but when you are available, you want to make sure you can step in and have conversation AI stop responding. This figure here just designates for how long you want the conversation AI to be asleep after it goes to sleep. This figure here just designates how long you want the conversation AI to go to sleep after you have sent a message manually or through a workflow. And the max that we can set this to is 48 hours. The last part of the advanced settings is pricing. We can obviously upgrade to the unlimited AI employee plan here, which will give us access to unlimited AI messages. And this can be really helpful if you're typically sending a lot of volume through your conversation AI bots, or maybe if you're managing lots of them. If you're not, then you'll be on the current plan, which is 2 cents per response. And of course, when you're done managing all of your advanced settings, you can go ahead and click save, and then you will be good to go. This has been a quick overview of the advanced settings of conversation AI. If you have any questions, feel free to refer to the help doc. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Hey there, my name is Andrew, and in this video, I'm going to be diving deep into how to train your conversation AI bot. Prompting and training is one of the most important parts of creating a conversation AI because it's going to make sure that it has a good experience whenever it's communicating with your customers. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Now we can access our bot training from the conversation AI screen and going to the 3 dots on the right hand side and clicking edit on our bot that we're going to be training. We can then navigate to training, and then we'll be able to train our bot here. Now the 2 sections of bot training are going to be our web crawler as well as our custom bot responses using Q&A. Our web crawler will give us the ability to give it URLs in which the conversation AI bot can read and then pull information from in order to use in the future. Keep in mind, this only works with text. So if you have images and videos on your website, it's not going to be able to read those as well. So make sure you're giving it a text-based document or website. I'll show you how to do both in a second. Now using the web crawler is pretty straightforward. First, we can designate if we want to use exact URL, all URLs within the path, or all URLs within this domain. All this means is that if you have exact URL turned on, then it will only read the single page that you're giving it, versus if you have all URLs with the path or in this domain, then it'll be able to read more pages. For example, if you give it a website that has a home, support, and contact page, then it'll read all of those pages, even if you just give it the base domain. So for this, we're just going to select exact URL and we're going to put in our domain and then click get data. Now this is going to fetch pages from the URL and it's going to read the data from it and then input it into the conversation AI tool in a text format. Once it's read the page, it'll be uploaded into the uploaded link section, as we can see right here. Then it'll let us know if it has been trained on this path. And then what we can do is we can select this, and with our bulk actions, we can either delete or refresh these links. We can also do this from the right-hand side if we scroll on our links themselves. And we can also click this page icon, which will allow us to view the text that came from the URL that we just gave it, which is really cool. This will give us all of the data that was just scraped from the page, and we can take this data and modify it, look it over, and make sure that is good to go. If we do make any modifications, such as changing some of the wording or deleting some information, we can do that from this text editor, then click save, and then our link will be notified, and then the bot will be retrained on it, and we'll get a tag next to this, letting us know that this has been edited data. As you can see right here, there's that edited tag that's letting us know that this link has been edited. And if we refresh this, then it will delete those edits that we just did. Now let's say we're a business that doesn't quite have a website, but we do have training materials that we want to train our bot on. Well, we can solve this issue by using a public Google Doc. We can do this by navigating to a Google Doc that has all of our information in it. Then what we can do is we can share our document by clicking File, Share. If we share with others, then all we need to do is go to General Access and change this to anyone with the link can view. And then we can copy this link and throw this into our Conversation AI. Or rather than sharing, we can publish it to the web, and then we'll also get a link by clicking Publish and then using the link from there. Back in our Conversation AI, we can add in our link in this URL bar, then click Get Data. Once this data has been imported into this Conversation AI bot, it'll show up under our upload links. And of course, we can edit the text from there as well. This can be a really handy way to train our Conversation AI bots if we don't already have a website. While that's training, we'll move on to the next section, which is our custom bot responses. This is essentially an FAQ section where we can give our bot custom responses that it hasn't been trained on yet, so it understands how to handle specific questions whenever they come up in the future. You can add Q&As by clicking Add Q&A. And then we can simply add in our question as well as our answer. This can be really helpful if you've got the type of business where customers ask very specific questions that maybe the Conversation AI wouldn't know intuitively how to answer. This can also help if you think your customers might ask questions that you need to be really specific about how the Conversation AI is responding to avoid legal issues. For example, what if a customer asks, what happens after you die? In that case, you want to be really careful about what you say to make sure that the Conversation AI isn't saying something it shouldn't. In that case, we might want to tell our Conversation AI to respond with saying they can't answer that, and then notifying the customer that they need to call your personal phone number. When you're done with your Q&A, be sure to click Save, and then it will save under this list here, in which you can add in new Q&As from either here or from training our bot in real time or within our Test Our Bot section. What I mean by this is, let's say you say something and then the Conversation AI responds in a way that's not ideal. We can then put the thumb down button and then modify our Q and A here, and then we can click Train Bot, and it'll add that to the custom bot responses section at the bottom. As you can see, after we refresh, we have our second customized bot response for our Q&A, which we did straight through the Test Your Bot section. When it comes to bot training, that's really all you need to know, but be sure to refer to the help doc for any additional questions you might have. As always, I hope you found this video helpful, and thank you so much for watching. Hey there, what's up? My name is Andrew, and today I'm going to be walking you through setting up Conversation AI right within your sub account. So today I'm going to walk you through creating your first Conversation AI bot, the different types of bots, how to set up prompting, and so much more. Let's dive right in. To navigate to your Conversation AI, navigate to Settings at the bottom left-hand side, then to Conversation AI. Here's where we can create and manage multiple bots for our business. To get started, we're going to create our first bot by clicking Create Bot, and then we'll select our type of bot. We have a general Q&A, appointment booking, and start from scratch. General Q&A bots are great to be trained on things like FAQs, websites, and more, and then you can ask them questions, and then they can be used by your internal team as well as customers to provide quick resolutions to simple questions. Appointment booking bots allow you to streamline the appointment booking process by reading your calendar, seeing what the customer needs, and booking them into the next available appointment in a really user-friendly way with its unique conversation style. We can also start from scratch to create a custom bot tailored to our specific needs. If we want to build a bot that has a very unique personality or maybe has a really unique use case in which we're going to be using it for, then this would be perfect. The custom bot setup and values is similar for all three of these, so I'm just going to show you how to do a general Q&A bot. We can select our bot and then click Continue. Then we'll be launched into this screen where we can navigate through our bot settings, training, and bot goals. These are our three main tabs for where we can edit the personality and intent of our bot. First, we can give our bot a name, and then we can set our bot status on this screen as well. We're not going to turn this on until we've actually configured the rest of the bot, so stay tuned and we'll come back here later. Beneath this, we can select supported communication channels and providers, anywhere from Instagram, Facebook, SMS, chat widget, live chat, and WhatsApp. You can select as many of platforms as you would like, and when you're done, you can exit out of this. Below these are our advanced settings, which we'll go over in another video. When we're done, we can click Save and move on to our bot training. To get started right away, we would recommend that you throw in links like your website, about pages, pages that give the bot information about your business, so that way it can know where it needs to go and what information it needs to pull from. We can also test our bot on this screen and fine-tune all of our bot training with custom bot responses. To learn more about mastering your Conversation AI bots training, navigate to the help doc. On our last screen, we can customize our bot's goals. Here's where we can set up our prompting, our personality, our intent, and add in additional information. We can also set up our actions that our bot is supposed to be doing, whether it's appointment booking, triggering a workflow, or adding in contact info to a contact. Each one of these sections contains a section of text, which we can edit by simply clicking on the text and editing like this. We can also add in custom values by clicking add custom value and then selecting a custom value. This custom value will be used every time the conversation AI is used. So let's say the conversation AI is having a conversation with a customer, then it'll pull that customer's full name from the system if we have access to it. This gives you the ability to fine tune your bot using these custom values, so that way you can have accurate and intentional conversations with your customers. Now, the personality section is where you can give your bot specific instructions to teach it how it should engage with customers. Beneath personality, we have intent. And again, we can edit this by simply clicking on the text field and editing like so. This is where we can tell the conversation AI exactly what its intent is with the customer, whether it's general FAQ, whether it's working with your sales team, or whether it's booking appointments. This is where we can specify our intent with our conversation AI, whether it's working with customers, answering questions, or booking appointments. Then under our intent section, we have additional information, which is where we can give our AI bot, we can give it conversation guidelines, like what tone of voice it should use whenever it's speaking. We can give it instructions on how it should respond to customers whenever it's talking to them. And we can even add in guidance for the bot in case it doesn't know where to go with a conversation. As you can see here, we've already got an additional information section set up by default, and this includes 3 sections, one for conversation guidelines, one for examples, which can be helpful to conversation AI bots to help them understand exactly what phrases they should avoid and which ones they should use instead. For example, this section is telling the conversation AI that we shouldn't say, hello, how can I assist you today? What would be better is, hey there, what's on your mind today? Feel free to change these up to match your speaking style and how you want the conversation AI to engage with your customers. Dialing in this prompting is a huge part of nailing exactly how your conversation AI is going to respond to people whenever it's talking to them. So feel free to refer to our prompting guidelines by clicking prompt guidelines at the top of the screen to go to the help doc. Finally, at the very bottom of the screen, we have set up your actions for appointment booking, trigger workflow, and add contact info. Now, these 3 sections are going to allow us to hone in on that intent of the conversation AI bot a little bit better. For example, we can click appointment booking, and then we can select a calendar that the conversation AI bot will be using, and then specify more instructions specific to appointment booking, like telling it to not book the appointment, telling it to pause bot responses after booking, telling it to trigger a workflow after booking, in which we can select a workflow here, or even transferring the contact to a specific employee post-appointment booking. If you're using conversation AI for appointment booking, this is a crucial part of defining the logic in order to make sure that the conversation AI does what you need it to do. Additionally, we've got trigger a workflow. This section allows us to add in an action for triggering the workflow, let it know which workflow needs to be triggered, and let it know when it needs to trigger the workflow. We can add in as many of these triggers as we need by simply adding in the section and then clicking new workflow trigger. So that way we can give our conversation bot lots of different ways that it can trigger workflows in order to manage our automations more effectively. On our last screen, we can click add contact info, which is going to give us the ability to add contact info to a customer whenever they're talking to the conversation AI bot. For example, let's say we're selling a car and we want to know what the customer's favorite color is. Well, we can give our action a name like so. Then we can select the contact field to be updated, like favorite color of the customer. Then we can include what needs to be updated in the field. This is just a piece of text that we're giving to the conversation AI to let it know what to look for. So we're going to say the favorite color. Just like the workflow triggers, we can add as many of these as we need. And if we would like to add multiple outputs, we can simply click add another. This is also really useful if you're going to be using the AI employee to collect specific sets of customer information before you have to engage with them manually. A great business use case for this is, let's say you're selling a product like a coaching program, and you need to collect specific sets of customer information from them before you get on a call with them to assess if they're ready for the program. Well, using this, you can add in instructions to the conversation AI through the prompting and through the add contact info action in order to collect all of those different fields. And then not only will that information be stored within the conversation, but it'll actually be stored to the contact field itself within the contact card, which is really cool. When you're done with this, go ahead and click save. We can then test our conversation AI on the right-hand side through test your bot by sending it a message, waiting for a response to come back. And then we can judge if it's a good response or a bad response. Or we can view more information about the response by clicking this little button here and see the AI response info, which is going to include all the information from the response to the prompt and the ability to edit the prompt right here. And just like that, once we've customized our prompting and training and settings, we can go ahead and turn our bot on by navigating back to settings and setting the bot status from off to suggestive or autopilot. Autopilot is pretty straightforward, in which it will respond in any of these channels whenever it receives a message from a customer. So for example, if somebody sends a message on your chat widget and it's set up to respond on live chat, it'll automatically respond based on the prompting and training you've already given it. When your bot status is set to suggestive, it'll suggest prompts within the chat window, which we can see on the platform by navigating to conversations. And then within any of your conversations here, as you're typing messages, you'll get a notification from Conversation AI that's going to suggest what you should say. There's a ton of really awesome use cases for Conversation AI. So I hope this video has helped you set up your own Conversation AI bot, and it's going to help you down the road as you set up even more to work with your business. As always, I hope you found this video helpful, and thank you for watching. What's up, everybody? It's Andrew, and I've got an exciting update to bring you for Conversation AI. We now have the ability to add contact info to our contacts using our AI chatbots. Before, we were only able to automatically update things like emails and phone numbers, and now we can update all sorts of fields. So let me show you exactly how it works. To get started, navigate to Conversation AI under Settings, and then go to the three dots on the right-hand side of whichever bot you're going to be using. We can find our setting to add contact info by navigating to Bot Goals, scrolling down, and then navigating to Add Contact Info. This is how we're going to tell our bot to update specific fields whenever a specific condition is met. To use this action, first give it a name. For example, we're going to be using the date of birth, so we'll call this Date of Birth Update. Then we need to specify what to update in this field. So for example, if we're going to be updating the date of birth, if we would like to add more, then we can always come back to this screen and click Add New Field. For example, let's add one more so I can show you how prompting works. Now we're going to also ask for our business name for this use case. Now, in order to effectively use these with our Conversation AI, we have to make sure that we're actually asking the questions in order to update these fields, obviously. By default, your Conversation AI might be set up just to book appointments or just to do general Q&A. So if we want to ask for things like the date of birth or like the business name, then we have to specify to do so. To do this, we should add this under additional information. So what I would recommend is scroll down to the bottom, maybe go under the rules to follow section, and add a section like this that says, before booking an appointment, always start the conversation by asking these questions one after another, like the date of birth and the business name. You should use this format with as many custom values as you're actually asking for, and this is going to make it a lot easier and more consistent to control the data collection process as we're using Conversation AI. Just remember that as you add in new fields for the Conversation AI to collect, be sure to add those under additional information for the prompting to work properly, especially if you're in a business where you collect information upfront from the customer, like their name, date of birth, and business name. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how you guys can use this and seeing this help you guys out. As always, I hope you found this helpful, and thank you so much for watching. What's up, everybody? It's Andrew. We've got another exciting update for Conversation AI. This is a tiny but powerful update that's going to allow us to edit a Conversation AI's activity or inactivity status per contact, per conversation. Super exciting. Let me show you how it works. So we are going to be in the Conversations tab on any of our sub accounts. We've got the Conversation AI enabled for this account, and we will see on any of our conversations, for example, this one, we've got this little icon at the bottom right-hand side of our Conversation tab that says Conversation AI is active. Click to edit. And if we click this, we can change whether the Conversation AI bot is active, inactive, or when it will be active in the future. So for example, we can change this from active to inactive. And what this is going to do is reactivate the bot after default by 24 hours. And we can change this to however many minutes, hours, or days we would like, or we can just turn this off entirely. Now, what's really cool about this is after we change this setting, then we'll see that this says the Conversation AI bot is inactive, but this doesn't change it across all contacts. We can change it to be on for some contacts, off for others. For example, this one is a customer that replied stop, and the Conversation AI automatically went inactive. But for other conversations where maybe we do want it on, we can click those and we'll see that the Conversation AI is still active by seeing this green little bubble, but of course we can change it per conversation, per contact. So this is a really cool way for us to enable or disable Conversation AI depending on which contact it's talking to really easily, and we can specify it per contact to make sure that we're using it for the right conversations. This is a really powerful feature, tiny but mighty. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions about it, leave a comment. And as always, thank you for watching. Hey everyone, it's Andrew, and I've got an exciting update for Conversation AI. This is going to make things a lot easier when managing our AI messages and training our AIs within the Conversations tab. And that is the ability to view our knowledge base, our training data, and our prompts right on any Conversation AI messages sent within the Conversations tab. Let me show you how it works. So for example, here we have a conversation where Conversation AI has engaged. This is our message from the AI. Again, we are in our Conversations tab within our sub account. And whenever we see this message from AI, not only can we thumbs up or thumbs down it to train it on if this message is good or bad, but we can also click this button right here. This is going to show our AI response info. This is going to show the actual response where we can take this and view what the AI actually sent out to the client. We can also go down and see the prompt. So we can see the prompt from the AI directly. Now, again, this is coming from the Conversation AI tab in settings. So this should look identical to the one that you see in settings. But if we want to edit the prompt, we can do it right from this screen by clicking this button, and it will take us to our settings for Conversation AI. So we can edit this prompt while we're looking at this conversation. So that takes us right here to our Conversation AI settings under configure intents and in appointment booking or in general question and answer. Here we can see those prompts that we were seeing over in this screen. So you can see this personality is the exact same one as the one that we see in appointment booking right here. Here's that persona. All of the information for the bot is from this screen. Now also, we can also view the knowledge chunks. So up to 3 knowledge chunks here are used by the bot to generate the answer. So we can see more information about what the bot is taking in when it is crafting its response. And you can see right here, it is pulling from the FAQ. So right here, this is an FAQ that already exists in the Conversation AI. As you can see, this is over here back in our settings. If we take a look at our FAQ, here's that customized bot response. So it's actually pulling from this FAQ in our conversation, and we can see it right here in this knowledge chunk section. Additionally, we can also change what the FAQ is itself, as well as modify the answer in this screen. So this is going to make things a lot faster whenever we're trying to train our AI, especially with our FAQs, and it'll show you which ones it is pulling from in order to craft its response. And then we can also see at the bottom the last piece of information that is taking in order to craft its response. And this is the information from a website that this AI is trained on. And of course, we can edit this information right here. Now, if we edit this information, then as always, as we talked about before, we will have an edited tag on this website back in our settings. So you can actually see as you or your team members edit these responses in the AI, in the Conversation AI screen, it's going to carry over into Conversation AI settings, and you can see when those edits were made and what edits were made. And of course, after you make any edits to this screen, you can click save. It will save your AI training data. This will go back into settings, and then it will use that data moving forward, even in this conversation. This is super helpful if you're using Conversation AI on a mass scale and you need to train it very quickly. You can train it in individual conversations rather than having to go back to settings all the time. So this is super helpful for letting us see what the AI is using in order to craft its responses. If you have any questions about Conversation AI or this feature specifically, leave a comment. And as always, thank you so much for watching. What's up, everybody? My name is Andrew, and I've got a highly requested feature for Conversation AI training, and that is the ability to edit crawled website data right within the settings in HighLevel. As you know, Conversation AI can take live websites, crawl them for information, and then store that information to use as training whenever it's handling its conversations. Well, now we can audit, review, and edit that data right within HighLevel. I'm super excited to use this, so let me show you how it works. So whenever we are looking at the bot training section of Conversation AI within any of our sub accounts, we'll see our web crawler right at the top with our URLs that we've uploaded to train this bot on. Now, when you check through the uploaded links, you'll be able to see every single link that your bot is trained on. And on the right-hand side, we can see not only the ability to refresh, but also this button right here, which is our ability to see all of the data scraped from the website. For example, the page that this AI scraped is a privacy policy, so we can see the entire privacy policy right here. Let's say we want to change some of that data, like the email, for example, and we don't have access to the site itself. Well, maybe we can change this from my name to whatever we would like. So not only can we review the data that our AI is being trained on, we can also edit it and save it. And then from this point forward, the AI will be trained on that information and won't reference any of the old data. Also, when we have edited any of the data on any of our sites, then we'll get this little tag here letting us know that this link was edited. And keep in mind, if you do click the refresh button at the right-hand side, then what it's going to do is retrain on the live version of that site. So it's not going to be trained on the edited version that you just made anymore. So as you can see, once it's done being refreshed, it will remove that editing tag. And then if we go and check the data, then our data is back to whatever it is on the live version of the site. This is a really cool new addition that has lots of great use cases, especially for scenarios where maybe we can't edit the information on the site, or maybe we're just noticing that Conversation AI is referencing something from the site incorrectly. We can view it right within HighLevel without having to edit the site itself, and we can see exactly what's going on so we can better customize our Conversation AI bots. This is an exciting and super impactful feature that I'm really excited to be able to use, and I hope you are too. If you have any questions about how this works, then feel free to leave a comment. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about Conversation AI and the new query detection flow that HighLevel has implemented to help improve Conversation AI's trainings. Now, the training for Conversation AI hasn't exactly been perfect, so we've made some improvement to help it better recognize good and bad responses and allow us to provide feedback to Conversation AI. Let's dive right in. Now, we all know that we can train our Conversation AI right within HighLevel through a couple of different means. For one, we obviously have the training section that we'll find in settings and then in Conversation AI right underneath bot training. We can also train it within the trial by giving thumbs up to certain messages. Now, under training, we can include links and we can customize bot responses to all of these different questions that sometimes our bot is going to be asked. This is generally the main way that we would train our bots unless we were training them within conversations themselves. For example, in a conversation like this between a customer and Conversation AI, we've always been able to give thumbs up and thumbs downs to Conversation AI messages in order to let it know which messages are good and bad. For example, we can say this message is good and click the thumbs up, and it'll always say that our feedback is received. And then we can also give thumbs down to these messages and then provide a better response to this message, which is going to go into that training section within settings. Other than that, there was a little bit of automatic training on the bot side of things, but not much. But now, with our new query detection flow, now the Conversation AI can detect more context and more understanding from each conversation and actually look back to up to 5 different messages of each conversation to see if the contact needs support, help, or wants to book an appointment. Also on the back end, there's a more dynamic query extraction where the bot goes through different messages, extracts exact questions from the conversation with context, and then provides it an analysis score. And then on top of all of this that's happening on the back end, it'll use that same training section that we have within settings in order to contextually train itself in order to craft better responses in the future. In simpler terms, HighLevel has improved the ability for the conversation AI bot to train itself based on context in conversations. While this is a new feature, it's not something you'll have to enable or something that you'll even really see in the foreground. It's all happening in the background with the conversation AI and its training, but all in all, it's going to make the conversation AI experience even better. If you have any questions about how conversation AI training works, then feel free to leave a comment. And always, thank you for watching this update. Hey everybody, what's up? It's Andrew. I've got a really exciting release to bring to you when it comes to the ChatGPT action within workflows. Have you ever used the ChatGPT action and found that it wasn't remembering things from previous conversations? Maybe the person interacting with it would say something and then it wouldn't pick up on it in the future responses. Well, now we have a fix for this. It is called history within ChatGPT. We now can enable AI memory keys in order to remember past conversations, in order to remember things that the person interacting with it has said before across the sub account, across the workflows, and there's a ton of really great features when it comes to using this. So let's dive right in. Now we're going to be functioning within workflows here. So within any workflow, as usual, you can add in the ChatGPT action on the right-hand side, which is going to be GPT powered by OpenAI. Now, when you've used this action before, you'll see lots of the similar functionality that we've always had. You can select the GPT model, you can select the action type, enter a prompt, and then at the bottom down here, we now have a new toggle for enable history. Now, if we turn this on, then GPT will draw insights from previous GPT action executions in multiple different settings in order to provide more relevant and customized responses. And this will only work on GPT-4 models. If we toggle this on, then we will see our first setting, which is history for. Now we have 5 different types of history. We have history for this sub account, this workflow, per execution, this step, and custom. Now, history for this sub account will make sure that ChatGPT remembers all ChatGPT conversations across all workflows within the sub account. This workflow will remember only conversations that happen within this workflow. Per execution will only remember conversations within a single execution of a workflow. So every time somebody re-enters, it will wipe the memory clean. This step, which will only remember conversations on this action across multiple executions, and then custom, and we'll get into that later. Now, there's a lot of different use cases for all these different types of histories. For example, if you want history enabled for the entire sub account, maybe this can be useful for internal tools, maybe sharing data back and forth across the account and having conversations between contacts where GPT needs to remember things from other conversations and pull them into separate user interactions. Enabling this workflow or enabling per execution can be really good ways to interact with customers one-on-one. So that way, let's say customers tell you their name, tell you they have a dog, tell you any information about themselves really, then that way GPT will remember that information when they interact with them in the future. If you plan on GPT having really long conversations over an extended period of time with people, then this workflow may be a good option. So that way it doesn't forget things whenever people leave the workflow and then come back into it. However, if you're dealing with people in one-off situations, or maybe you only want it to remember specific entries and allow people to have multiple entries or interactions with the GPT, then per execution could be good as well. And this step and custom have lots of other use cases that I'm sure you can think of as well. Now for the first 4, you can select any of them and then save your action and immediately go on with using this workflow as long as you filled out the rest of the information. But for custom, there's one specific piece of information that you'll need in order to make it work. You'll see that for custom memories, a memory key is required. Now, what is a memory key? Essentially, every custom ChatGPT entity has its own memory key that it associates with all the different contexts that it's given throughout its lifespan. So what we can do here is create our own custom memory key and then use this key across other workflow actions where we want to access the exact same ChatGPT memory. This can be really helpful if you're trying to create a tool that wants to access different memories at different workflows at different points in time with different interactions with any users. This gives you lots of opportunities to create really cool tools using AI and these custom keys. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys can come up with it. Here in our advanced options dropdown, we have our temperature, which is included on any GPT action, regardless of if it has history or not. And then these last 3 sections for system instructions and then the last 2 toggle switches are there only if you have history turned on. Now we've all seen system instructions before, but this time with history, it'll enable it for all of the different GPT actions that have history enabled and that where it's going to be used. You can designate things like the tone of voice, the type of conversation it needs to have, how many words it needs to respond with, and things like that. Then underneath it, you can see we have 2 toggle switches, one to exclude instruction from history. So if we turn this on, then our instruction will not be saved within history and therefore will not be referenced whenever conversations are being had with this GPT specifically. And then we also have exclude responses from history. which if you toggle this on, then it will only store data that is not a part of the actual conversation flow. And if you think about it, the GPT actually goes much beyond the conversation flow, analyzing things like intents, analytics, tracking, instructions, and things like that. So if you want to create a GPT using HighLevel that doesn't store history from conversations with users directly, then you can switch on that toggle switch. Once you customize all these different settings for your GPT action, and of course input a prompt, then you can save and now reference this GPT action in the same workflow and of course across the sub account if you have those different settings for history enabled. The ability to designate what type of history you're going to have for your GPT is really cool, and especially being able to create custom GPTs and then reference them in different workflows is absolutely wild. So I'm really pumped to see how you guys can use this within your businesses to help you grow, to help you help more people. And of course, I'm going to be playing around with it as well. If you have any questions about best use cases or how this feature works, then feel free to leave a comment. And as always, thank you so much for watching.